Okay, so now we're going to go to part two of the lesson. Part two of the lesson is knowing what DNA is and the different terms associated with DNA. So let me just to start off this lesson, draw DNA. This is a double helix structure, twisted ladder formation, looking like this, and then eventually getting smaller and smaller in the distance, and smaller and smaller, and eventually you're going to have DNA wrapping around the protein. It's one protein, this is another protein. This diagram is not to scale because DNA is very long. DNA is actually, for every strand of DNA is probably about 3 to 4 meters long, and they are compressed inside the nucleuses of our cells. So what I'm drawing now is just DNA being wrapped around this massive, or actually microscopic protein to form a structure called a chromosome. And I'll show you guys what I mean in a moment. Now, what I've just drawn is the DNA being wrapped around these proteins. These proteins are called histone proteins. And what histone proteins do is they allow DNA to wrap around them, as you can see in the diagram, for compression. Now, as I just said, the DNA is approximately 3 meters long, and it fits into the nucleus of your cell. So if you have a really long wire, that's 3 meters, wrapped around microscopic proteins, that would allow the DNA to fit inside the nucleus of the cell. So on one half of the DNA, you have the N, and this is called a haploid component, and these are often found in your sex cells. So haploid means one part, and if you can refer to DNA and chromosomes, they often have this shape. Has anyone seen that shape before? Or maybe this? But it's really haploid. Together, they are diploid. Okay? So one half comes from mum, the other one comes from dad. In total, in our body, we have 46 chromosomes. And sometimes you might be asked a trick question. So you have 46 chromosomes, and you only have two, out of that, you have two sex chromosomes. Out of the 46, you have two sex chromosomes. What do the sex chromosomes determine? Well, they just determine, if you're a male or a female. They determine your sex. If you're a male or a female. Later on in the course, we're going to be talking about abnormalities, chromosomal mutations, where sometimes you have three sex chromosomes, and you have XXY, or you might have XYY, or you might just have, what's the other one? XXX. I think there's triple X syndrome as well. And these conditions affect your phenotype, the way you look. So that is, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause the video for a second and draw this second chromosome. So now that we have two comparts of the chromosome, we now have two N. Okay? And now this is called a diploid chromosome. Diploid, all your cells in your body are diploid. From your nerve cells to your cardiac cells to your hepatocytes in your liver to your renal cells in your kidney, all your cells are diploid, sorry. The only cells that are haploid in your body are your sex cells. These are your gametes. So to go back on this, you have 46 chromosomes. Two out of the 46 determine your sex. The current sex combinations are XX for a female and XY for a male. Okay? And it's also important to know that X X chromosomes can hold genetic information that determine traits. Okay, so for the boys, your X chromosomes can also determine the way you look. The Y chromosome, no traits are carried on this chromosome. And if you're confused about what we mean by that, in a moment, I will describe it. So XX, that means you have two chromosomes, one chromosome that can hold more information than the boys. And this has actually been linked to longer life in females than males, because the average life expectancy, I think, according to the 2010 surveys, the last one that I can remember, for a woman was 85 in Australia, and a man was 79. And one of the theories was because of the X and Y chromosomes. So more information is stored on the X chromosomes. Girls have two X chromosomes, boys only have one.